The film begins by introducing Terry Richmond, a former military veteran, riding his bicycle down a road. He's listening to music through earphones, completely unaware of his surroundings. Suddenly, he's struck by a police vehicle. Officers Evan Marston and Steve Lan apprehend Terry, handcuffing him and asserting that they had attempted to initiate a traffic stop, but he had attempted to escape. Terry explains that he didn't hear their attempts to pull him over because he was wearing earphones. Dismissing his explanation, the officers begin questioning Terry, demanding personal information to verify his identity. Officer Marston proceeds to search Terry's backpack, where he discovers a suspicious package. He asks Terry for permission to open it, but Terry refuses. Undeterred, the officers decide to detain Terry and request a K-9 unit to conduct a search of the package. Officer Marston informs Terry that it will take approximately 1 hour for the K-9 unit to arrive. Growing impatient and needing to be somewhere, Terry reluctantly consents to the search. The officers open the package and find a substantial amount of cash. They immediately suspect that the money is connected to illegal drug activity. Terry insists that the money is not drug-related, but rather his personal savings, which he intends to use to post bail for his cousin at the courthouse. Officer Land notes that the cash amounts to nearly $30,000 and inquires about the reason for Terry's cousin's incarceration. Terry explains that $10,000 is for the bail, and the remaining funds are earmarked for purchasing a truck and equipment for hauling boats. He adds that his cousin, Mike, was arrested for possession of marijuana, but maintains that Mike was not involved in selling it. Despite Terry's explanation, the officers decide to release him but confiscate the money, still suspicious that it is linked to drug trafficking. Terry defends himself, stating that he acquired the money by selling his car and that he even used some of it to buy a steak at a local Chinese restaurant called Kinlong. Officer Marston informs Terry that they will be holding on to the money, and he can retrieve it after a 30-day period, once the necessary paperwork has been completed. If Terry doesn't cooperate, the police threaten to charge him with conspiracy to commit money laundering, a serious offense that could land him in prison. Faced with this prospect, Terry reluctantly agrees to their demands and is released. He retrieves his bicycle and pedals quickly to the courthouse. There, he encounters Elliot, a court clerk, and explains his predicament, asking Elliot to post bail for his cousin. Elliot refuses, pointing out that Terry has no money. He then informs Terry that the local jail is undergoing renovations, and as a result, all inmates are being transferred to the state prison. With his shift over, Elliot prepares to leave, but Terry is understandably distraught, worried about his cousin's safety. Before departing, Elliot introduces Terry to Summer McBride, another court clerk who is also studying to become a lawyer, suggesting she might be able to offer assistance. Terry and Summer go for a drink, and during their conversation, Summer explains that the local police department has a history of using questionable legal tactics to seize money from citizens. If the individuals are unable to reclaim their funds through legal channels, the police department keeps the money, justifying it as a contribution to their departmental funds. Terry then reveals that his cousin, Mike, had previously cooperated with law enforcement, providing crucial information that led to the capture of dangerous criminals. He fears that if Mike is transferred to the state prison, he could be targeted by other inmates seeking revenge. Mike's transfer is scheduled for Thursday, giving Terry very little time. Summer advises him to quickly raise the necessary cash for bail to prevent the transfer and protect Mike. They part ways, and Terry immediately contacts Mr. Liu, the owner of the Chinese restaurant where he had eaten and also his business partner. He requests $10,000 from Liu, who agrees to transfer the funds to him within a few hours. Later that evening, Terry locates the police station where the officers who detained him are stationed. The following day, he goes to the police station and files a robbery report with Officer Jessica Sims. In his description of the alleged robbers, he provides detailed descriptions that perfectly match Officers Evan and Steve. Meanwhile, Officer Steve enters the police station and interrupts Terry's report, accusing him of filing a false police report. Chief Sandy Byrne, the head of the police department, intervenes, defending his officers and ordering Terry to leave the premises. However, Terry offers a compromise. He will allow Chief Sandy to keep the majority of the confiscated money if he will simply return the portion that was intended for Mike's bail. Overcome by greed, Chief Sandy agrees to the deal. Terry requests to see his cousin before the transfer to the state prison, and Chief Sandy instructs him to be at the police department at 9 a.m. on Thursday. When Thursday arrives, Terry goes to the police station as agreed, but he discovers that the prisoner transport bus has already left. Chief Sandy had deliberately expedited the departure schedule to thwart Terry's plans. Terry quickly pursues the bus and manages to catch up with it. He advises his cousin to request protective custody as soon as he arrives at the state prison, ensuring his safety. Following this, Terry seeks help from Summer, the court clerk. She meets him discreetly and informs him that she has uncovered incriminating information about the corrupt police officers and their connections to a corrupt judge. She explains that this information could be used to expose their illicit activities. Regarding Mike's bail, Summer emphasizes the urgency of getting the bail money to Elliot's desk as quickly as possible. Terry returns to the police department and confronts Chief Sandy, threatening him and demanding his cooperation. Officer Steve intervenes, and the situation escalates into a physical altercation. Terry disarms both officers and takes them inside the police station. He uses Officer Sims's handcuffs to restrain them. He then leads them to the property room, where he discovers a large quantity of weapons and money. Terry retrieves his confiscated money, taking only the $10,000 that he had originally agreed upon for the bail, leaving the rest for the corrupt officers. He removes the bullets from Officer Sims's gun and instructs her to pretend to handcuff him and escort him out of the police station in a way that wouldn't arouse suspicion from the officers outside. Officer Sims complies, driving Terry to a safe location in Steve's car and then issuing a police alert for his arrest. Terry races back to the courthouse and delivers the $10,000 to Elliot. Summer attempts to get the judge's signature on the bail paperwork, but by this time, the police have surrounded the courthouse and arrest Terry. The police take Terry to the courthouse catacombs for a medical examination. Evan then escorts him to meet Chief Sandy. They pick up Sandy, and as they drive away, Sandy reveals the full extent of their corrupt operation. He admits that he made a serious error in targeting Terry, as they had subsequently discovered his extensive and influential connections. The corrupt officers take Terry to a hospital, where Chief Sandy hands him the remaining cash that was confiscated, instructing him to remain silent about the entire incident and pretend it never happened. He warns Terry that if he speaks out, they will fabricate charges against him, potentially leading to a 30-year prison sentence for assaulting law enforcement officers. Sandy then delivers a devastating blow, informing Terry that Mike was attacked in prison and is currently being transferred to this very hospital. Overcome with anger and grief, Terry reluctantly accepts the deal, but Sandy issues a stern warning: he is never to return to this town, or they will eliminate him. Terry rushes to Mike's hospital room, but tragically, he is too late. Mike has died. Heartbroken, Terry asks Summer for a ride back to his own town. As they drive, they notice a police car tailing them. Summer explains that the officer is a friend and contact within the police department, someone who is looking out for her. She attempts to explain to Terry that Mike's case is not isolated and that there have been numerous similar incidents. She emphasizes the importance of exposing the police department's corruption, but Terry, consumed by his grief and anger, ignores her pleas. He gives Summer his phone number for emergencies and bids her farewell. Summer returns home and is awakened in the middle of the night by the realization that someone has broken into her house and drugged her. She immediately suspects the police when she notices their car magnet on her refrigerator. She frantically calls Terry, who rushes to her house. He breaks in and finds her in the shower, alive but shaken. Summer explains that she is unharmed because the police injected her with a drug that she used to take earlier in her life. She reveals that she has a daughter and lost custody of her due to her past drug use. She is currently allowed supervised visits with her daughter, but she fears that if she fails a drug test tomorrow, she will lose custody permanently. Terry reassures her and advises her to go to work as usual. Surprisingly, Summer's boss, the judge, has requested a meeting with her and wants her to take a drug test, indicating his involvement with the corrupt police. Summer is terrified but complies, providing a urine sample while knowing her fate hangs in the balance. Meanwhile, Terry encounters Officer Steve, who, along with other officers, blocks the street. Terry initially cooperates, but Steve suddenly shoots him, having anticipated his return to the town. Despite his injuries, Terry fights back, using his taser to subdue Steve and escaping in his truck. He abandons the truck in a field and walks to a nearby motel, where he calls Summer, requesting burner phones. Summer arrives at the restaurant, bringing the burner phones. She finds Terry injured, and Mr. Liu is providing medical assistance. Terry and Summer discuss their next move, gathering evidence against the corrupt police officers to expose their crimes. They decide to operate discreetly and break into the judge's residence. They interrogate the judge about his involvement in the police corruption scheme. The judge admits that he has been collaborating with Chief Sandy for a significant period. He explains that Sandy's police department was facing a severe lack of funds, so Sandy devised a plan to generate revenue through illegal searches and seizures, manipulating the legal process through the court system. Individuals whose money was seized were forced to fight legal battles to get it back, but they consistently lost their cases. The judge confessed that he participated in this scheme because he received a share of the illicit profits. He further stated that the state government had essentially legalized this practice, as a portion of the illegally obtained funds was channeled into government coffers. The police would conduct aggressive traffic stops, similar to Terry's initial encounter with them, as a pretext for these illegal searches. These searches were recorded by the dash cams installed in the police vehicles, and these recordings could serve as crucial evidence to expose the police department's corrupt activities. Terry and Summer decide to steal these recordings, which are stored in the catacombs of the courthouse. They infiltrate the courthouse, only to discover that the police are already present. The police officers have set a fire, intending to destroy the evidence room. Summer quickly extinguishes the flames. They swiftly seize the memory cards containing the dash cam footage and then reignite the fire to create the impression that the fire was accidental. Terry leaves the courthouse and waits in the car while Summer goes to retrieve her urine sample. Tragically, she is apprehended by the police. Terry, waiting outside, witnesses the police kidnapping Summer. He follows them to a remote location, where the police officers disperse. One officer remains behind. Terry deliberately crashes his car into the officer's vehicle. He subdues the officer, choking him and handcuffing him for interrogation. Using the captured officer's radio, Terry contacts Chief Sandy. Sandy proposes a deal: Summer's release in exchange for the memory cards containing the incriminating evidence. Terry agrees to the terms, and Sandy instructs him to meet at Rebel Ridge at dawn. Sandy's officers wait at Rebel Ridge until morning, but Terry never arrives. Simultaneously, Chief Sandy receives a phone call from Terry. Officer Evan, believing he has located Terry's vehicle, informs Sandy of his discovery. Terry tells Sandy that there is no turning back now. However, Officer Evan soon discovers that Terry was not in the car. Instead, Officer McGill is found tied to the vehicle, a victim of Terry's clever trap. Meanwhile, Terry has infiltrated the police department, breaching the back wall of the building. Officer Jessica alerts the other officers to Terry's location, and they converge on the station. The ever-greedy Sandy, anticipating the opportunity to secure the stolen money, rushes towards it. However, Terry is in the armory, equipping himself with weapons. He confronts Sandy, firing beanbag rounds at him instead of live ammunition. Jessica arrives at the scene, and Terry willingly cooperates with her. It turns out that Jessica is the friend and contact within the police department that Summer had mentioned earlier. Terry trusts Jessica and gives her the memory cards containing the incriminating dashcam footage, instructing her to release them to the public. He confiscates the police department's arsenal, but Sandy's men arrive outside. Terry hands a loaded gun to Jessica, instructing her to provide cover for him, and then piles up Sandy's ill-gotten gains, preparing to set it ablaze. Jessica, however, betrays Terry, telling him that she wants no bloodshed and escorts him outside. Officer Steve confronts Terry and, in a shocking move, stomps on the memory cards, destroying them. Steve reveals that he has incapacitated Summer, ensuring that there are no witnesses to Terry's imminent execution. Officer Evan, witnessing the egregious abuse of power, experiences a change of heart and steps in to protect Terry. A tense standoff ensues, with all parties pointing their weapons at each other. Sandy then shoots Evan in the leg, disarming him. Terry glances at Jessica, who lowers her weapon, signaling her true allegiance. Terry seizes the opportunity and flees with the injured Evan. They take cover behind a car, as Terry throws smoke grenades to create a diversion. Evan instructs Terry to turn on the car's dash cam, explaining that the recordings will go live in 3 minutes. Terry systematically takes down the corrupt officers one by one, but refrains from killing them. He confronts Steve, exacting his revenge for being shot earlier. He gets into Steve's car, where Summer is lying unconscious, and turns on the dash cam. He then drives the car towards Evan, rescuing him from the other officers. As they drive away from the police station, Steve manages to cling to the car. He attempts to get into the back, but Summer, regaining consciousness, pushes him off onto the road. Sandy and his remaining officers, along with Jessica, pursue them. Jessica, in a surprising turn of events, crashes Sandy's car, creating a diversion to allow Terry to escape. Terry drives to a hospital, where Summer and Evan are admitted to the emergency ward. Before leaving the vehicle, Terry removes the camera's storage drive, containing the crucial footage, intending to use it to expose Sandy's corruption. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell if you want to watch more videos like this. Thanks and see you again soon. Take care.